The Red Sox sweeping the Astros proves that they can compete with any team that baseball has to offer.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So make sure you tune in because Locked On is here every single day. This episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. I'll tell you all about that a little bit later on in today's show. But happy Monday. Happy Red Sox have swept day. It's a good day to be a Red Sox fan. I am in a fantastic mood today. I don't know about all of you. I know it's Monday, so I know it's kind of annoying, but the Red Sox swept the Astros over the weekend, and simultaneously, the Yankees got swept by the Marlins, and the Blue Jays lost 2 of 3 against the Royals. So the Red Sox were able to gain some significant ground in their division. Going to be talking all about the sweep on today's show, as well as what is this show about the Red Sox trade deadline and providing some injury updates. So pretty packed show today, but the Red Sox swept the Astros is certainly not a statement I thought that I would be saying on today's show. I truly thought that if anything, they would get swept by the Astros. Why? Because the Red Sox have always folded when they've played the Astros. For whatever reason, over the last few seasons, they have not been able to beat that team from Houston. Whether it's at home or on the road, we've seen them play 4-game series against the Astros and lose 3 of the 4. We've seen them get swept by Houston. They just, for whatever reason, have not been able to beat that Astros team. So for them to go into the series this weekend and sweep them was very nice to see. Sweeping the Astros shows that the Red Sox can compete with any team that gets thrown their way. And this series was interesting because each game in the series was a little bit different. The first game, the Red Sox won 2-1 in extras. They grinded through it. They went down 1-0 in that game. Played a bunch of small ball in this game because Hunter Brown was the pitcher for the Astros, and they were not able to touch this guy. He threw 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and just 1 run with 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. And he was just coasting through. The Red Sox offense was not able to manufacture a whole lot on him, but they started playing some small ball, were aggressive on the base paths, started to work his pitch count, started to do what they could to advance base runners and make contact, and they ended up scoring the tying run on a sacrifice fly and then ended up winning in extras. Good things happen when you play small ball. In the series finale on Sunday, the Red Sox won that game 6-1. How? They played a lot of small ball. Framber Valdez, which is the Astros ace, was pitching in that game. He threw 6 innings, giving up 7 hits and 6 runs, with 4 of those being earned, with 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. And it was an absolute nightmare of a 4th inning for Valdez and the Astros. He made an error on a weak ground ball that was hit to him. That was a bunt that he should have made the play on and thrown it to first base for the out, but he was unable to make the play because he bobbled the ball, so everybody was safe. The Red Sox scored on a balk because he balked in a run. There were a few wild pitches and passed balls in the inning. So the Astros did not help themselves, but the Red Sox were also putting a lot of pressure on Valdez. They were getting his pitch count up and really working him early in the game. So the first few innings, the Red Sox weren't able to manufacture runs against him, but they were working that pitch count and they were trying to get runners on base as best as they could. They were trying to bunt people over. So they were really taking taking advantage of their small ball abilities and the fact that they are able to steal bases and do it so efficiently. So they were able to break Valdez. They put up 6 runs over the course of the 4th inning. That was the only scoring in the game. They ended up winning the game 6-1. But this series as a whole showed resilience. It showed that this Red Sox team, if you put them together, you may not think on paper that this is a Red Sox team that can be competitive with the best teams in the league. But you know what? They have chemistry and they have a lot going for them, especially because of the fact that you have Lucas Giolito and Brayan Bello, who have both been pitching better over the last couple months. Lucas Giolito actually did pitch in the series, the final game. He threw 8 innings, giving up 3 hits and just 1 earned run, which came on a solo home run by Carlos Correa. He had 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. He threw 103 pitches, with 67 of those going for strikes. If you look at Lucas Giolito right now, he certainly could be relied on as the number 3 starter in a playoff rotation. And I definitely did not think going into the season that we were going to see a version of Lucas Giolito that was that reliable, who you felt like you could count on to pitch in a playoff series and get you a win. But behind Garrett Crochet and Brayan Bello, who truly is the next in line to be the number 2 behind Crochet, then you look beyond that, and really Giolito is the guy that you can pinpoint as the next best thing that the Red Sox have. Him being able to turn his season around after recovering from injury, coming back and having a couple rough starts along the way at the beginning, him being able to turn that around has been beyond beneficial and a game changer for this Red Sox team. And the biggest thing for me about that is that you go from the day before where the Red Sox did have to turn to the bullpen relatively early because Walker Buehler was pitching game 2 and he threw 4 1/3 innings, giving up 9 hits and 3 earned runs with 3 walks. He threw 84 pitches with 54 of them for strikes. So he was pulled from the game in the 5th inning. So the Red Sox had to use quite a few relievers in that game. So people were definitely in need of rest. And Lucas Giolito solved that for them by coming in Sunday and pitching 8 innings. So then Chris Murphy threw 1 inning and struck out 1. He only had to throw 10 pitches and 7 of those were strikes. He was incredibly solid, incredibly sharp. He has been very reliable out of this Red Sox pen since coming back from injury recently. So you got a really solid 8-inning outing from Lucas Giolito. So essentially then you didn't have to turn to the bullpen as much on Sunday. So it helped the Red Sox to get the sweep. So the biggest key to this series that I noticed with this Red Sox team is that small ball works. They bunted in Friday night's game. They utilized their bunting in Sunday's game. It's a strategy that the Red Sox have been lacking a lot. Even in games that are really close or in extra innings, they don't even bunt the ghost runner over to third base. And it's a mystery why they haven't done that. Alex Cora didn't really take that kind of approach a lot. But the Red Sox decided that they were going to figure out how to bunt. And they did in this series. And boy, did it pay off for them in lots of ways. The Red Sox probably lose that game 1-0 on Friday night if they didn't decide to implement bunting and playing small ball and manufacturing runs. That's going to be a key for this offense moving forward because yes, they can get their base hits, they can hit for power, but rather than taking the approach of hitting for home runs all the time and just trying to swing for the fences, they are now swinging for contact and advancing base runners. And that's going to be key moving forward with this team as we look to see where they're at and how they are going to compete moving forward. But the Red Sox sweeping the Astros included a lot of fun things. Trevor Story is still on a roll at the plate. He, in Friday night's game, went 1 for 3. And then in the Saturday game, he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. And then in Sunday's game, Trevor Story went 2 for 4 with an RBI. So he is still very much on a roll at the plate. He did crush a home run in Saturday's game. And it's nice to see from him. It's really nice to see him be productive because the offense that he has given the Red Sox this year has been one of the biggest reasons why they have been able to be as competitive as they have been. I said before the season started, Trevor Story is going to be a huge X factor for this team. If he has a big year, the Red Sox are going to be a competitive team. And sure enough, that's exactly what we got from them is Trevor Story giving them what they need offensively this year, and then being a really good offensive team because of it. So he was certainly a standout in the series. Something else to note is that Steven Matz, the Red Sox newly acquired reliever that they got at the trade deadline, made his debut. He threw 1 inning with 1 walk and 1 strikeout, but he breezed through the inning, 11 pitches with 7 of them going for strikes. Really showed off a huge arsenal, but his curveball in particular is a lethal pitch. So super small sample size, but what we saw from him that he threw, lots of good pitches that he can continue to utilize with this Red Sox team. And I really liked what I saw from him in that curveball in particular. So hopefully that's a pitch he continues to utilize. But it was good to see him get some work in. Did not struggle, breezed through his inning besides the 1 walk, but was able to get out of the inning quickly. So lots of good takeaways from this series. Pitching primarily doing its job because the Red Sox bullpen primarily held the Astros offense, which was fantastic to see because Cooper Criswell, another standout from the series, pitched the Friday night game. He went 7 innings, giving up 7 hits and 1 earned run, which came on a home run, 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. He was unbelievable for the Red Sox pitching against Hunter Brown. Another big standout was him. Gave up 1 run. The bullpen was able to hold it. In game 2, the runs that were given up were all given up by Walker Buehler. Then the bullpen put up a bunch of zeros. Same with Sunday. The 1 run that was given up to the Astros was on a solo home run, and then Chris Murphy didn't give up any runs when he went in. So the bullpen put up a whole bunch of zeros, which really helped the Red Sox in the sweep. Why does this all show that they can compete with any team that the league puts up? Because this Red Sox team has undeniable chemistry. Chemistry is important, and when you're a team like the Boston Red Sox, you rely on that a lot. Why else? Because they figured out how to play small ball and manufacture runs, which helps them to win the close games. Another reason why, because their bullpen has been completely lights out. Those are all recipes for success. And if you're going to sweep a team like the Astros, who, by the way, right now is 62-50, was leading their division coming into this series, they are no joke. And the Red Sox went out there and battled. And I hope to see more of that from them. And coming up, as we hope to see the Red Sox continue to win games, what does this say about the trade deadline that they just had? That's coming up next. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. I always constantly see people that are golfing with these things. And especially on a really hot day when you can get tired really easily, these 5-hour energy transfusions can keep you powered up to finish your golf game the right way. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. I am telling you, if you get fatigued easily, these things are 100% a lifesaver, and they truly do help a lot of people out when it comes to being on the golf course. So I highly recommend that you invest today in these drinks, because when it's 95 degrees out, you'll definitely want it to keep yourself alert and keep that golf game on point. The Red Sox just swept the Houston Astros over the weekend at Fenway. Truly a sentence that I did not think that I was going to be able to say, because honestly, this Red Sox team has given us a lot to stress about and worry about this season. And they were struggling to beat good teams early on. And the biggest thing that people were talking about was going to be their upcoming schedule being a test. It started with the Cubs and the Phillies after the All-Star break. And then they went to a series against the Dodgers in which they won. And then they beat the Twins in a series and now swept the Astros. The Red Sox are playing very good baseball right now. And there are multiple reasons why that is. The starting pitching with Bello and Giolito stepping up has been a lot better. The bullpen has been absolutely lights out with guys just getting the job done. And the Red Sox offense changing the offensive approach to do less of just hitting for the fences and hitting for contact and putting the ball in play. Good things happen when you put the ball in play if you make the other team make mistakes, just like they did against the Astros yesterday when they had that 6-run fourth inning. They forced the Astros to make baseball plays, and it backfired on Houston, and they were making errors, and the Red Sox were scoring runs. So put the ball in play should be the mindset, and it works really well for this Red Sox team, and we've seen it as of late, and it shows that if they have that mindset, they can compete with anybody. Now, the Red Sox at the trade deadline did what a lot of people would consider underwhelming in terms of moves. They added a starting pitcher, they added a reliever, but that was it. There wasn't anything else that they did. People thought the Red Sox were going to make a big splash on the first base market and acquire somebody who could play first base for the rest of the season, who could be reliable, because yes, they've really liked the idea of Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez there, because both of those guys, they feel, have done a solid job of pulling the weight at first base in a platoon manner. But on the other side of it, the Red Sox feel like they don't want to have to rely on that platoon long term. And from a lot of people's perspective, it just feels like it could be something that blows up in the Red Sox face. And I do understand the concerns behind that, because you look at where Abraham Toro is at, and while he has definitely been reliable, he has fallen into a bit of a slump over the last month, and I would worry that that's going to continue. So the Red Sox really should have arguably acquired a first baseman at the deadline who could have played that position regularly for the rest of the season and been the standout first baseman. And the backup catcher situation, I thought, was maybe another thing they were going to look into, because Connor Wong is not cutting it. He did have an RBI in yesterday's game, by the way, his second one of the season. Another thing to note about the series, but he just has not been doing it offensively at all. So if I'm the Red Sox, I would be looking into the backup catcher situation. They also did not address that at the trade deadlines. They were able to get 2 players, but Craig Breslow did come out and say, we were unwilling to touch our current major league set of guys. We were willing to move any prospects. We even put some prospects on the table that we weren't planning on putting on the table originally, just to try to get deals done, and teams weren't biting because the Red Sox did not want to move anybody from their major league roster. If Jarren Duran had been a little bit more expendable, if he was somebody at the Red Sox that said, yeah, we would move him, then they probably would have been able to get somebody to bring in to help fill another one of those holes. So the thing with all of that is, the Boston Red Sox are a big team that's based on vibes. And the vibes are really high right now, and the chemistry is really good. And Craig Breslow isn't one to shy away from moving or trading players if he doesn't feel like they fit the vibes of what the clubhouse is trying to achieve. And because he's a former player, he understands that the culture is important in a sport like baseball, and you kind of need to lean on having that joy of playing baseball together in order to keep winning games. So because Breslow was unwilling to touch his major league roster at the trade deadline, it's because he is confident in the crop of players that he has, and confident that their chemistry is too good to the point where if he were to trade for a first baseman, for example, he might come out with a negative if he were to trade one of the outfielders for that player and throw off the chemistry that they have, because they have certainly been relying a lot on that team chemistry to win games as of late. You can just tell that that clubhouse is a group of players who really enjoy playing baseball together. A lot of them in interviews have said it. Roman Anthony said it recently. We just all love playing together and we just love winning. Trevor Story said it recently, how it's just a great vibe and a great culture that the team has right now. So you don't want to throw that off. So while it feels like Craig Breslow did have an underwhelming trade deadline, which I 100% do understand, And I have already said that if they don't make the playoffs, he needs to be fired at the end of the season, because then you could look back at this trade deadline and say, well, if he had done a little bit more at the deadline, maybe they wouldn't have missed the playoffs. So in that regard, yes. But the fact that they went in after the trade deadline and they swept the Astros says a lot about this team, because it could have gone one of two ways. They could have taken the Red Sox not making a lot of moves at the deadline as, well, you don't have faith in us this year because you didn't do enough to give us help to improve. So why should we feel motivated anymore, because you obviously don't think we have a chance to make the playoffs. So it could have gone that way, but it also could have gone the other way of this being a way that the players were able to fuel more positivity and more energy to want to win, because the players could look at that and the trade deadline that Breslow had and say, wow, he has a lot of faith in us, which is why he didn't move anybody from the current major league roster. He feels like this group in particular is special and can win a World Series together. So in that regard, if they took it that way, it would be, okay, we need to make sure we keep winning games so that we don't disappoint him or the front office or make them feel like they made the wrong decision. So you never really know how a team is going to come out after the trade deadline when you have a trade deadline that you don't feel like was sufficient enough. But the fact that this team came out and swept the Astros and they look like they're just really enjoying playing baseball together, it really truly feels like they took that approach of, well, the front office really believes in us and trusts that we as a group can go out there and win a World Series together. And it says a lot if the front office has faith in the guys in front of them, because then it really can fuel that added motivation of, we don't want to let anybody down. And when you see their dugout celebrations right now and you see how happy everybody is together, it really shows that this group is something special. And all of these guys just truly enjoy playing baseball together and just want to win games together. So this trade deadline may not have been as bad as you think. Why? Because the Red Sox are playing like a team. Guys are figuring things out. Things are coming together. Guys are learning their role. And when you have a young team, there's always going to be a point in the beginning of the season where you're figuring out how everybody meshes with each other. And you're figuring out who's going to take on what role with this team. Who are the team leaders? Who are the ones that are learning from others? Who are players going to be looking up to? And what can you personally do to contribute to this team to help them win games? So there's a lot of that early on, especially with new faces. But with guys like Rowan Anthony and Marcelo Mayer, for example, who got called up partway through the season, those guys need to come in and be able to adapt to their team and the roster and be able to find ways to set themselves apart from other players in the league. So that can be tough, doing that while also transitioning into the majors in general and feeling like, okay, I'm learning how to play baseball at this competitive of a level, but I also have this team and I have to figure out where I fit into that team chemistry wise. And now that time has passed, it feels like this team is in a really special place now, to where they have been able to collectively come together as a group and say, listen, we want to win baseball games. We mean business. We feel like we can be a team that can go and win a World Series. And that's what you want when you have a team like this. That's what you want the attitude to be, is having a bunch of guys who can go out there and just have fun together playing baseball. And because of the fact that it seems like they've been having a lot of fun as of late, Craig Breslow didn't necessarily want to break that up by getting rid of one of their current players, because that could throw off team chemistry on the back end if you ruin too much what you have going. So obviously there's a big question of, is this wave of riding momentum going to take you to a World Series championship? It's hard to know for sure. There's no way to really know, yeah, we can definitely win the World Series this way. But Craig Breslow is taking the former player approach of realizing that momentum and chemistry is really big with a team. So that could have been part of the reason why he was okay with making the moves that he did, ensuring that they didn't move anybody from the major league roster, because this team has something really special going on right now. And that showed in the fact that they just swept a really good team at home. So hopefully that continues. But some unfortunate news came over the weekend with the Red Sox when it came to injuries. So I'm going to be giving updates on that next. If you're really into sports betting or if you're just getting started with it, FanDuel 100% is the place for you. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. I know some people who are making a lot of money right now betting on WNBA and Major League Baseball, so that can be you as well if you just download FanDuel today because you can win lots of money really quickly. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel is a great way to win lots of money, so I highly recommend you checking it out if you want to change your life. The Red Sox have been giving people a reason to be very excited. This is a team full of players who just love playing baseball together. Simple as that. They love playing baseball together. They all want to be out there. And the chemistry with this team is really felt just from watching games. You can see how excited these guys are. They're always talking about it too. And this series sweep that they just had over the Astros does somewhat reflect the trade deadline that they had in regards to the fact that Breslow didn't want to break up what was working. He didn't want to break up a team that really loves each other and everybody wants to be out there. So it goes to show that not everything on paper is always the best idea. And the Red Sox of all teams have shown that you can string together a bunch of guys with a lot of chemistry and you can go all the way. And will it be enough to win the World Series? Not necessarily, but it would have been tough for him to trade a major league player who's currently on the roster, and it throws off the chemistry. So obviously he was on to something in some way. Hopefully this play continues. Again, it's only one series after the trade deadline, but it was a big one in which they swept the Astros, which is huge for the Red Sox and the organization and the fans. So hopefully this momentum and this play continues, but there were some injury updates that were given over the weekend. One of them, unfortunately, being about pitcher Tanner Houck, who has to get Tommy John surgery. He said, it's unfortunate. It sucks. It's a fun team to watch. It's a fun team to be around. And just knowing I'm not going to be a part of it for the rest of the year, it's hard, but I know I'll bounce back better from this. Dr. Keith Meister will perform the surgery at some point this week. Tanner Houck said probably midweek. He and Dr. Meister have not yet discussed if he might be able to return late in the 2026 season, but Houck is hopeful. He said, I know the minimum is probably around the 12-month mark, 12 to the 14-month mark. With that being said, if everything goes right, 12 months from now, plan on being back out there, running out to the mound at Fenway, but you also got to do it the smart way, the correct way. And I got to be honest with myself. If there's a point in this where it doesn't feel right and I need to take a step back, it's what we're going to need to do. But I'm going to do everything in my power to get back out there at this time next year and be essentially a trade deadline piece. He underwent an initial MRI back when he was placed on the 15-day injured list with a right flexor pronator strain on May 14th, and the first MRI showed a good amount of inflation in the flexor. The second MRI ended up coming after his 5 rehab outings for AAA Worcester and AA Portland. He began feeling a lot of discomfort in the hand, as well as discomfort in his triceps during the All-Star break, and then he said the additional imaging showed significantly worse damage. He said flexor was torn a good bit, but just didn't feel right throwing, didn't feel normal, kind of the way that I operate at a high whippy volume, just never really felt like it got back to normal. He said that there were alternatives to the surgery, but there was also a thought those other routes were just delaying the inevitable and he would eventually need the surgery. He said you can go the PRP route, stem cells, kind of those things. But he said undergoing the procedure was ultimately the best decision for the longevity of his career because he said, I want to pitch for another 10 years, 10 plus years. And looking at a longevity standpoint, this is just the road that we decided to take. He pointed to both teammates Garrett Whitlock and Lucas Giolito, who have returned strong this season after undergoing arm surgeries last year. Whitlock underwent a right elbow ulnar collateral ligament repair in May 2024, and Giolito underwent an internal brace procedure to repair his damaged elbow in March of 2024. So Houck referred to them and said, look at what they've done this year. It's incredible. So it's just about trusting day-to-day work. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard, but I'm ready for it. I've made peace with it myself. had a lot of long conversations with my wife, early mornings, late nights, talking about it. So he's obviously accepted that it just kind of is what it is, and he'd rather focus on getting it done so that he can get back on the field as soon as possible. But he went 0-3 with an 8.04 ERA over 9 starts with the Red Sox before going to the 15-day IL, and then he was moved to the 60-day IL this past surgery. Alex Cora kind of came out and said Tanner's going to have Tommy John surgery. He went to see Dr. Keith Meister there in Texas, and that was the recommendation. We don't have a date yet, but he's going to have it. He had a strong season last year, finishing 7th in the AL with a 3.12 ERA and 30 starts, but was able to make only 5 rehab appearances after going on the injured list. Cora said tough year for him, tough year for us, but he'll kill the rehab. He'll do his job, and when he comes back, he's going to be okay. Houck earned his first All-Star appearance last year by going 8-6 with a 2.54 ERA in the first half, but then he struggled after the break, going 1-4 with a 4.23 ERA. You do have to wonder if that had something to do with him being hurt, and maybe some of the inflammation was building up at that point, and that's why he declined in the second half. But he's definitely bummed about it. He's the third Boston starting pitcher to suffer a season-ending injury. Hunter Dobbins tore the ACL in his right knee covering first base last month, and Cutter Crawford underwent right wrist surgery. So the Red Sox, now this increases the urgency for the Red Sox to acquire a starting pitcher in the offseason, knowing they likely won't have Tanner Houck for basically the whole season next year. They're hoping that the pickup of right-hander Dustin May at the trade deadline will bolster the staff. He is supposed to make his first start for the Red Sox on Wednesday at Fenway Park. He's really excited to be here in Boston and contribute. So for the rest of this season, he will be a regular piece of that rotation. But at the end of this year, the Red Sox do need to reevaluate and say, okay, we know we won't have Tanner Houck for likely the whole season, so we need to go out and get a starter. But for now, because Houck's not coming back this year, they have to roll with what they have, which right now their 5 would be Garrett Crochet, Brian Bayo, Lucas Giolito, Dustin May, and Walker Buehler. That is the rotation as of now, and they just have to roll with that. They have to hope that May pitches effectively, and then when the season concludes, then they reevaluate and go from there. So tough news for Tanner. Really hope he recovers quickly, but we'll have to see. And then another player who is injured is Marcelo Mayer, who potentially might have to have season-ending surgery. They haven't really concluded that yet. He's currently on the IL with a sprained wrist that is reportedly more serious than the Red Sox initially envisioned. So he played the majority of his 44 games at third base, but moved to second once Alex Bregman returned from the IL. So obviously, the Red Sox need to figure out how they're going to handle that situation. But he's been out since July 25th. And in an effort to return to the field sooner, he received an anti-inflammatory injection on Saturday. After a 72-hour rest period, he's going to resume baseball activities to see whether the injection helped him with the pain. Craig Breslow said, obviously, we're all optimistic that the injection will work. That's the reason that he's going with this path. We believe that it gives him the best chance to get back on the field this season, and I think it's a credit to him to try to do anything he can to get back in. So surgery is potentially the next option. If they conclude that that's the case, it would be season ending and he won't come back at all. But his hope is to come back at some point this year. And that's his best hope of being able to do that. He'll resume baseball activities in the next couple of days to see if he feels pain. But in the meantime, the Red Sox do have to figure out what they are going to do at second base. Could they just continue to roll with Romy Gonzalez there? Do they want to move Romy back into a platoon with Abraham Toro at first base so that those guys can keep alternating and then bring in somebody else to play second base? For example, do they just rely on a guy like Christian Campbell being called up from Worcester to play second because he has, as of late, been playing pretty well with the Woo Sox, was feeling some pain on Saturday in Worcester and wasn't in the lineup on Sunday. The Red Sox don't believe that's anything too serious, but they're going to continue to monitor it. Do they call up Vaughn Grissom to play second base for Boston while Marcelo Mayer is gone? Is David Hamilton somebody that they utilize a little bit more? So lots of questions surrounding second base, but they do have options and places they can go from here. Obviously, we hope that Marcelo comes back sooner rather than later, but definitely unfortunate with these injuries, and hopefully the Red Sox can overcome it and be able to still be a team that competes all the way till the end of the season. So we'll have to see how everything plays out. I appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of the day. Be sure to next check out Locked On MLB Game Night, which is on the MLB YouTube channel or any other podcast platform. Just search Locked On MLB and you will find that show. It goes over every game, every single night, all season long, so that you can get local analysis on a national scale. Make sure you make that your second listen on any podcast platform. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.